Alright guys, so we're going to look at multiplying multiples of 10. A multiple of 10 is really just a skip count of 10, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 100, 200, 250. Anything that I can get to by skip counting by 10 is called a multiple of 10. So we're going to learn a trick for multiplying multiples of 10. And I think a lot of you have an idea what the trick is, but we're going to make sure our language is correct. So first of all, I have a problem and it says 4 times 20. Now, a lot of you have figured out that you can either skip count by 20s, that's a pretty easy one to do, or I've noticed a lot of you will cover up the 0. So you have an equation 4 times 2, which you can pretty easily figure out is 80. And then a lot of people say, oh, you add the 0 back. However, the vocabulary of adding a 0 is not correct because 8 plus 0 is not 80. 8 plus 0 is still 8. So we have to figure out part of that strategy that a lot of you have used to figure that out. Part of that is mathematically correct, but your language is not. So I'm going to show you how to change your language so that the trick that you've been using does make mathematical sense. The first thing we need to do is we need to change how these numbers are written. What I mean by that, remember when we were learning multiplication and we did the multiplication symbol as groups of, and we were translating that into English? Well, we're going to translate some of these numbers into English as well, specifically the 20. So underneath your paper, I want you to go ahead and write 4 times 20 if you have not, and then we're going to change the 20 into 2 tens. We didn't really change the 20's value. 2 tens is still equal to 20, but it's written in a little bit of a different way. You might think of it in a slightly different way. So now our new equation says 4 times 2 tens. This is better because now I have that problem set up where I can still do 4 times 2. 4 times 2 tens. Well, 4 times 2 is equal to 8. Not just an 8 though. We're not counting just ones. In this case, we were counting tens. So this becomes 8 tens. And then I need to translate that back into numbers. Well, what does 8 tens actually look like as a number? It looks like 80, which is our solution. So it is very similar to the same trick that you guys have been doing, but we've put better language in there. So it's not 4 times 2 plus a 0 because that would still just be 8. It's really 4 times 2 tens gives you 8 tens, which we know then is 80. So let's do another one together. I have 3 times 60. So what I'm going to do, go ahead and write that down. I'm going to translate our 60 into an amount of tens. 3 times 6 tens. Again, 6 tens is still the same value. It still has the same worth as 60. I've just written it in a slightly easier way, and a way that's a little bit easier for me to work with in this problem. This is really what we've been doing all in multiplication. How can I rearrange numbers and problems and words into a way that's easier for me to work with it? So now I have 3 times 6. I know 3 times 5 is really close to 3 times 6. 3 times 5 is 15. I need another group of 3, which brings me to 18. So this is going to be 18 tens. Remember, we were counting tens. 18 tens. Ooh, that's going to be a little tricky. To translate that back into a number, 10 tens is equal to a 100, and then I have those 8 tens left over, so 100 plus 80 tens is going to give me a total of 180. Pretty cool. It's going to take a little bit of practice. Just a lot of you know what to do. It's just changing the language. All right, go ahead and continue on with your learning path.